to NTV Mornings. We hope you're having a nice wet morning wherever you are. It's 1st of April, 2015. My name is Val Okecho, here to present to you Everyday Life, a part of our morning where we discuss the goings-on in our everyday life, medical, social, and the like. In the studio today, we're discussing kidney disease, everything that you need to know. How can you detect the symptoms? How do you know that you have kidney disease? What are the signs and symptoms? What do you need to look out for? And basically, how can you prevent kidney disease? Because at the end of the day, like they say in medicine, prevention is better than cure. In the studio with me, I'm joined by Dr. Kale Subula, a nephrologist from Mulago Hospital. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you, Val.
And Madam?
Team Caroline, I'm a patient.
Madam, Team Caroline's a patient of kidney disease. Dr. Kale Subula, what is kidney disease?
So kidney disease is an abnormal function of actually the kidneys. The kidneys are like two bins located at the back of your body, and they have a very important function of clearing all toxins from the body. So when they are unable to do part of their job, yes, that person actually has kidney disease, briefly put.
Okay. And before we task you to give us the signs and symptoms of kidney disease, maybe I would ask Madame here, how did you feel and how did you know? What are those signs that you felt that you remember that convinced you that you had a problem with your disease, with your kidneys?
Ideally, when I used to have heart problems, like my pulse used to beat harder, so, and I also had pressure. So I took an initiative to go and see a doctor in Cardiac Hospital. I met Professor Orodria, yes, who did comprehensive tests on me on issues surrounding hypertension. So that's when he told me that I had an issue with my kidneys. My creatinine levels and the urea levels were so high. So he referred me to see a nephrologist. And when he referred me to see a nephrologist, that's when it was confirmed that I had a kidney disease. A
nephrologist, for those of you who are watching, is a specialist in kidneys and kidney disease. And Dr. Kale Subula is one based at Mulago Hospital. I've had a chance to interact with you before, and I must say I was impressed by the advice that she gave. She's talked about creatinine and urea levels. For the benefit of our viewers, what do these mean?
So thank you very much. And of course, I happen to be the doctor of our team, so I know very well when Professor Orodria referred her to us. So the kidney is able to clear the toxic substances, like I told you earlier. Part of these toxic substances are actually urea and creatinine. Creatinine comes down from the breakdown of muscles and other proteins in the body. So when you eat proteins, ultimately, they have to be taken out through creatinine and urea. Urea is a toxic substance that is a final product of the metabolism or the activity that goes in the body. In fact, probably urine is, the name is derived from urea because urine basically takes out that urea. So this urea is supposed to come out from the urine through the kidneys. So when the kidneys are not working, the urea remains in the blood and the creatinine remains in the blood. So we take off a blood sample, and once we find that your creatinine is raised or the urea is up, then we are able to tell that you have a kidney problem.
Kidney disease, okay. So what are the felt or the visible complications, the common ones that are associated with kidney disease? Just to take you back, because she explained it first, and from a nephrologist's point of view, what are some of these common symptoms?
In fact, our team is a classical presentation of what happens in kidney disease. So the majority of patients with kidney disease have no symptoms. In fact, when she presented to me, she had no major symptoms related to kidney disease. It was after Professor Orodria did a creatinine and found it raised. So the majority of people have no symptoms. When you get kidney disease, it's divided in about 5 stages. To make it simple, it's like percentages. If your kidney works 80% and above, you are in stage 1. If it works 60 to 80, you are in stage 2. Then if it works about 30 to 60%, stage 3, 15 to 30, and less than 15, you are in stage 4. So most people get symptoms when they fall down to stage 4 and 5. And the commonest presentation is body swelling. They begin to get their body swelling. because they are not producing enough urine. The other presentation is that they usually are not producing enough urine in the body. But depending on what has caused the kidney disease, some of them actually get problems with the heart. For instance, like what a team got, you can get what is called palpitations. Normally, you are not supposed to know how your heart is doing its work. Once you become aware of your heart beating all the time, that's an abnormality. And that usually means that you have pressure. So that brings you to what is caused the kidney injury. If the kidney injury is caused by diabetes or it's caused by a disease, sometimes you have the symptoms of that disease. But largely as the kidney disease progresses, you get body swelling, nausea, vomiting, feeling tired all the time because you usually lack blood.
Okay. And once one has been diagnosed with kidney disease, what is the treatment available? So
the treatment available, normally, as I've told you, it depends on how fast you get these people. Unfortunately, most of our people come in stage 3 and 4 when they get the symptoms. So at that time, you can try to reverse the disease by controlling the primary problem, usually diabetes or hypertension. But once that, with drugs, and also looking at the diet, lifestyle, doing exercise, and eating right, avoiding some foods that could be toxic to the kidney. But once that fails, then you have to do what is called dialysis. Dialysis is basically having a method to clean away the toxins rather than your body doing it. So there are 2 modes. You can do what is called peritoneal dialysis. Some pure water is put in your tummy so that it removes the toxins, or you can do what is called hemodialysis. This means that your blood is taken to a machine, it is cleaned and brought back to you. But the ultimate treatment for kidney disease is actually kidney transplant. Someone donates a kidney transplant to you.
So at what stage does one require kidney transplant?
Stage 5. Once your kidney is working less than 15% of its normal requirement, then you probably need a kidney transplant.
Okay. And what are some of the conditions that are required for one to have a kidney transplant?
I think Akara has been through some of them. She can get us started, then I will add on. Because she's going through the process, we are trying to get her a kidney transplant.
Yeah. For one to have a kidney transplant, first and foremost, you have to have a compatible donor, like a relative, anybody within your close reach.
A blood relative?
Yeah, blood relative. Or even, but the government doesn't accept it outside your relatives. It has to be within, because that's when compatibility is really so better, and you find that the rejection of the kidney by your body, if you receive it, is not refused. So you have to have a close relative who will go through a series of tests to see that the person is compatible to you. So the person will go through a series of tests, and then after that, there is also the legal bit of it. The person has to do some of the legal aspects of swearing an affidavit, because we don't need to force somebody to be a donor. You have to be a willing donor. You have to be somebody who is ready to save a life. So that really brings somebody to be able to donate. So in my case, I have a sister who is going to donate for me a kidney.
Very kind of her.
Yeah, so that's how I am going through the process with the support of doctor.
Well, thank you for that. Dr. Kaliusubula, where is this kidney transplant done? I've heard of India and other foreign countries. What are some of these places that you know a kidney transplant can be?
Thank you, Val. So we are still unable to do kidney transplant in Uganda. So the majority of our kidney transplant are actually done by colleagues from India.
From India.
But we've had a few from Kenya and a few from other countries. But largely the majority of the kidney transplants are actually done in India, different hospitals.
And what is the cost? Because that's the most important part.
Yes, so the cost ranges between $25,000 and $35,000.
Prohibitive.
Prohibitive, definitely, definitely.
Okay, so like we said earlier on when we started, prevention is better than cure. What preventive action can our viewers take to prevent this kidney infection?
I think when you are looking at prevention, you have to go back a little bit and look at the causes. So unfortunately, we do not have good enough information in Uganda. But from the patients we see, from the different clinics that the patients present to, the commonest problem is actually hypertension. High blood pressure.
High blood pressure.
The second one is diabetes, high blood sugar. The third one is infections. infections including HIV, infections of the kidney, glomerulonephritis, and sometimes we are seeing an increment, especially in the young people coming from stones. So when you talk about prevention, the first thing is people should have an awareness like we are doing now, because as I told you, the majority of people, up to 80%, have no symptom. So the first thing would probably be to have a regular check. If you're above 30 years, at least every 1 or 2 years, you should have your kidneys checked. Yeah. That would be very important. The other thing is looking at what causes high blood pressure. And the majority of time, this is a lifestyle. It is the diet. If you eat meat every day, take away too much salt, these are likely to be a problem. So people have to watch their diet. Number 2, exercise. You really have to be fit. You need to do exercise so that the kidney is enabled to do its work, and that will prevent you from getting diabetes and hypertension, which are the major causes of kidney disease. The other thing that we can do is actually, if you smoke or take alcohol, it will be important to stop those. And then the other problem is over-the-counter medications. For instance, if you have a pain, you go, you get aspirin, you get diclofenac, and most of those drugs, they can be self-medication. They can be toxic to the kidney. So that is the best way to prevent kidney disease: diet, exercise, not self-medicating, having regular checkups, and then these habits that can lead to kidney disease like smoking and alcohol.
Thank you, Dr. Robert Kalyasula. Atim, maybe you could share with us your personal experience on this kidney disease, the journey so far, from when you were diagnosed, how you felt about it, and your feelings towards the fact that you can actually be treated.
Yeah, when I was first told by doctor, because Dr. Orodria just told me you have a problem with your kidneys, and he referred me to Dr. Kalyasula. But when I met him, he counseled me and told me about the disease. I really felt so bad. I felt so bad, I felt finished, and I think doctor read my mood at that time, and he told me, go back home and you return. When you return, I'll be able to explain for you more what it's all about and everything. So I went back home, I took the medication he had first given me, and then I returned to him, and then he continued counseling me, and he gave me hope, saying, this is not the end. As long as you have a donor and you're able to have a transplant, you will continue with your life normally. But to me at that moment, I'd looked at, there was no hope. I saw no one within my reach who would be able to donate. I felt in Uganda, it's really so hard for somebody to come up to be a donor. So I really felt so low. I felt finished. At one point, I had suicidal thoughts, but I also thought my children are still young. So I told myself, there are two boys, they are still very young. So I told myself, no, I still need to live for these children. So what I did is I continuously had contact with a doctor to rebuild my hope. And confidence. And I also kept on talking to the family. But partly, as me, I felt rejected. Though the family was there, supportive, the family, everybody around me was supportive, I felt within me that I was rejected. Why would this happen to me? How could such a disease that I never thought of such a disease coming into my life.
And how did your sister come to accept to donate a kidney to you? Because that's a very difficult decision for many people. I'm sure you approached quite a number.
Yeah, I did approach a number of them, but I've taken 2 years with this disease, and I've walked through the journey, because by the time I came to meet doctor, I was already at stage 4.
Okay.
Having gone through the other stages unknowingly, when I meet the doctor, he's like, you're already in the terminal stages and you need dialysis, you need transplant. It was too much for me.
So when is your transplant to be conducted?
It will be conducted next month if I get all the funds, all the money needed. I'm working hand in hand with doctor to see to it that it can be done next month, since... In
India?
Yeah, since I'm really getting low. Whenever I go and visit him, at the moment, my last visit with him, he told me I'm already operating at 3%, meaning I'm now going to failure. When my kidneys will stop operating, I'm already getting the symptoms. For example, you're already seeing the signs on my face.
Yeah. Those are the signs.
Yes, those are some of the signs.
We pray for a quick recovery.
Yeah, so that is, I really felt so bad, but one advantage I have is that I had a supportive family. Doctor can bear me witness. I had an uncle, a brother to my mother. He's one of the people who really kept mobilizing the family members, saying that we need to save Carol. So my sister stays in the village. I think she just heard from a rumor that your sister is very sick. So she just came up and said, you know what, you need to check me. If I'm compatible to her, I am ready. And that's how it all happened. No one, it was just a one day's discussion, and she was like, yeah, do the checks on me. If it's okay, I am ready. No one forced her, no one. We continued. Doctor also counseled her and told her, are you really ready? She said, yeah.
And
I'm
thank
ready
God
to
for
save
that.
my sister. Yeah.
Thank God for that. We wish you all the best. We'll definitely be following closely. Dr. Kaliesula Robert is a consultant nephrologist from Norvik Hospital. And Esther Tim is a patient talking about kidney disease, as you have heard. And on Everyday Life here on Mornings on NTV, it's a segment where we talk about the issues that affect the everyday life of a person. And today, Wednesday, the theme is health. Having had somebody who passed away due to complication of kidney disease, I know how terrible it can be. And therefore, like doctor advised, watch your lifestyle, diet appropriately, have exercise. And speaking of exercise, the sports update is coming up shortly. This is Mornings at NTV.